Avowed. Obviously, it's been out. Co, you mentioned you've been playing it.
Yep.
We talked about
Real
it last
quick.
week. Yeah. We're not going to talk
Before
about
we go into Avowed,
Let's hear
I
it.
just started it. I played a few hours last night. I'm thinking I'm going to enjoy. I'm not streaming it. I'm just playing on my own time. It's fine.
Okay.
I had a lot of options, and I was like, you know what? I saw my lady playing it. I'm like, that looks like a game for me. And I started playing last night. I'm like, yeah, it seems like a game for me, and I'm really liking it.
Nice.
So if we could avoid general spoilers,
yeah,
that would be great for me personally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I gotta ask.
I'm fully willing to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I gotta
didn't know you were
ask.
playing it.
When I played that game and looked through all of it, I actually said on stream, I think I've said it multiple times, where I'm like, I bet Zeke is gonna love the mage power fantasy in this game. Like, I know that every time we play like Dark Souls and stuff, you're like, can I be a mage? Can I be a mage? Dude, like Avowed is a game you can be a mage.
Yeah.
Like hardcore. I was wondering if that was something that attracted to you.
No, it definitely is, and I am playing mage with a scholar background, I think.
Cool.
Or no, the noble background. That's what it was, noble.
That's what I'm doing. Nice. Yeah.
But I'm off stream. I will play games like this on the hardest difficulty, and they've got my ass handed to me. Like first couple of fights, holy shit! The first thing is hard. I'm like, all right. I was getting a little pissed off in the first couple of hours because I'm like, no magic, no spells. They give me a sword and a shield right away. I'm like, fuck, they're gonna fuck me. But they do, like, eventually, like, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like after the first couple hours, they do give you some mage gear. So I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna wreck face. I'm gonna go. And I'm like, pew, dead. Fuck. Okay, let me try this again. Fuck dead. God damn it. The hardest difficulty is pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, it is one of those games, kind of like any RPG. It's hard at the beginning. As soon as you actually like get proper skills and get a build going, it's not that bad. It's not that bad after that. But the beginning's pretty tough, and I think mage is actually the hardest at the beginning. Melee is like preferred.
That's for someone who plays D&D. That's totally familiar because at the beginning, wizards are like, stay in the back, cast your 2 spells a day, and we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
And then after like 5th level, it's just like, mage, go get him. Like, okay, I got this.
Yeah. Sorry, skipping past the opening stuff here to get to more just adventuring for spoiler purposes. This is the very beginning of the game, though, so you're not. This is very mundane, I guess, to put it bluntly. But yeah, it's awesome. It's exactly what I wanted from this game, and that is a exploration game that has story that, for me, it doesn't overstay its welcome, and I can just get back out there and start beating the shit out of things and be rewarded by going around a corner, looking underneath a tree and checking every waterfall, and there's a chest, and like they nailed
yet another
all of
reason. Yet another reason I'm not streaming this, because I'm like, I bet I could get up there. Hour later, like maybe I can't get up there yet, or I can't get over there yet.
Yeah, well, it's the type of game where you go to a place and you have not been rewarded. You know that there's something there because you get rewarded for everything in this game.
I have frequently turned around when leaving places and been like, I didn't loot a good chest there. Hold on. I must have missed a wall or an underwater passage or like 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and in my chat, at least for streaming it, because I'm going over everything with like a fine tooth comb, and the way that the game works is there's like a treasure chest, shimmer noise. I don't know how to really describe it. It's like a hum, kind of. There's no Witcher sense or anything in the game, but there's a slight hum when you're near something, when you're near loot or a chest.
The loot tingle.
Yeah, the loot tingle. Let's call it that. That you can like walk into a room and hear something, and so I'll just start looking around. And they like kind of devilishly. They're somewhat bastards about it in some rooms where it's just a little notch in a random thing on a wall, in a bookshelf, in anywhere, and then you hit it, and you can like track a power cord over to a wall, and you watch it go across the wall. Then a big door opens up, and there's a chest behind it, and you're like, fuck yeah. Let's go get this item that I'm not going to use ever at all, but I got it, and it's going in my stash. Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
That is why I'm enjoying the game so much, because that never stops. That never lets up with the way that they've hidden everything.
You know what it reminds me of? Like, because I really don't have that many hours in it. Probably like 3 hours in it, give or take. But like, what it reminds me of is what I wanted Elder Scrolls Combat to be like. It's more arcadey and it's more like set. It's like swing, block, tack, block, swing, dodge, and it's like very like move set based. Whereas Skyrim and Oblivion and that kind of stuff, it's a little more messy. This one is way, way less messy and more like, if I got hit, it was because I wasn't paying attention. It was because like I was overwhelmed by 2 or 3 enemies or something like that. Whereas in Skyrim, it's like, I'm going to swing around until everybody's dead. This one's like, you have to fucking tactics, like, use your tactical brain to figure out how to beat battles, which I really enjoy.
Yeah. I agree 100% with that. The combat is like one of its strengths, and it's like you seek those fights out. I'm not like trying to get away from fights. I don't like, you can stealth your way in, right? And like take a guy out before the fight starts. But no, I just immediately start shooting the second that I see someone. I started as a mage, Zeke. Last week, right before the show, I swapped to two-hander, kind of like what Ko's using here at the start of his playthrough. And then about 30 hours in, I got an item that dropped, and it made me respec everything. So now I'm Dex, and I have a giant two-handed gun, and my chat hates me because when I reload, it breaks the immersion for them. Because the guy just goes...
Why is that?
Because he reloads so fast, it doesn't look human. Because he's jacked up his reload.
And then it's like the fight's over and I'm just running. I can show you a clip that won't be spoiler.
So it's like watching a really good cook at like Benihana's or whatever, like some hibachi guy, like.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you making a volcano out of onion rings?
I think everything can be broken in this game, but it definitely comes across as like, oh, this is actually broken because of it just looks stupid. Like the hand movements, everyone's like, is this game sped up? Like, why are you playing at like 2x speed? You're not, that my game doesn't look like that type deal. And it's just because I put all my points in Dex, which is like action speed and move speed. And then I have, all my armor has plus move speed on it. Yeah, attack speed, yeah. Then all my armor has movement speed on it, and I have abilities that when I get a kill, I get movement speed and like, yeah. And I'm always drinking water, which gives you 25% movement speed. Or food is really fun in this game. You can get a shit ton of different foods that help you in so many different situations. Instead of just like restoring HP, they can give you like plus X to all stats, plus 20% damage to 20% damage and 20% damage reduction. Like, food's very, very good. You should definitely be investing in that. A lot of people have come into my chat and be like, I didn't even know you could cook. And I don't know how that's possible, but I guess if you don't go to the camp and like walk over to the campfire, they don't really explicitly say it.
Also, the food, the mechanics and the UI for how you use and make food is pretty garbage.
Yes.
It's pretty terrible.
It's like,
yeah.
There's no other. Terrible is a great way to describe it. It's not
terrible. It's poorly designed and it's very clunky and obtrusive.
Yeah. So many clicks, so many weird things where there's not really a key bind. You have to like, at least
having to sort through multiple radial menus. Like just, it's
Oh, terrible. I can't even use the radial menu for food. 'Cause there's like five different things.
How do you do it? You do it from the inventory?
I go to inventory. I just hit I, open up my inventory. It pauses the game and then I just go and eat.
Well, damn, I have never done that.
Yeah, because
maybe that sounds a lot better than what I've been doing.
It's so much. It's almost like it's like. Have you ever seen Sky UI for Skyrim?
Yeah.
It looks very much like that in terms of how you can read and process the information.
I will definitely check that out tonight.
And so I just spam it and click that, and I'm good to go. Because the radial menu is shit. I've always been against radial menus for some reason, but this one specifically is bad.
Yeah.
It's very much a consolification of that system, without question. So, but use food, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm just enjoying walking around. I'm curious for the two of you. This was one of those games that, like, when we first saw it, everyone was like, I don't like the look of that. And then kind of every time that we saw more of it, it's like, okay, I'm coming around on the graphics. Now, after seeing this game with the day and night system, I think this game's actually, like, really good looking. Like, there's multiple times where I've just stopped and been like, holy shit.
Oh, dude, especially the vistas, like the top of this area.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
gorgeous.
I just got to the desert area. Like, there's so many ledges and stuff where you just like come around the side out of a cave, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, this looks amazing.
There's some really pretty stuff in this game. And so I'm glad that didn't like dissuade me from playing it. I guess that they kept on improving that over time because it looks very crazy.
So one of my chat was like, meh, just another UE game. I imagine that's the same kind of person where when graphics become realistic, they're like, man, I'll just go outside and look at a waterfall. Like, I don't need this. Like, whatever. That grass looks good, I'll just go outside and look at grass. I don't need this.
That's true. Yeah. Game looks better at night too, for what it's worth.
To that point, like when I fired it up for the first time in the opening scene of the ship going through the little canal and the islands on the side, I actually sat back and was like, I audibly said, wow, that's gorgeous. Yeah. Like, to nobody. Like, I was just sitting here, and it was, yeah, it's impressive how good it looks. Like, there are some slight downfalls like that aren't as good, like aren't the toppest notch. Like the mouth movements, they're good. They are very good. But they're not like Senua's Sacrifice good, or like Horizon Zero Dawn good, or Horizon whatever good.
This takes us to the interesting part of the conversation about Avowed, because Avowed is really it's an interesting project in terms of how much of a mixed bag it is, and it's also very interesting in terms of like how we've seen expectations and managed expectations. Like, this game Avowed does some things really, really well. Like, the combat is a lot of fun. The exploration is actually a lot of fun. The movement and traversal is super arcadey. If you're a Pillars of Eternity fan, the writing and stuff is fantastic. Like, I'm a huge Pillars of Eternity fan. I am emphatically in love with how much lore is jammed into this. Like, every time they give me information, I feel like that somebody came through and was like, is there enough PoE lore in that? Is there enough PoE? Okay, let's add some here and put some in. Like, I love that, because I felt the exact opposite in Dragon Age of Veilguard, where I was basically begging for them to please make me feel like this is a Dragon Age game, and they just didn't. That's the opposite in this game, where it's clear that they tried extensively to make the game feel like a Pillars of Eternity game. The locations, the enemies, the dialogue, all of that. I love it. It's too much for some people. In fact, to the point where they're like, not only do I not know this lore, but I just feel like the characters are spouting lore at me and not actually being people. And I get that. I understand that, which is kind of like, it's an interesting line that Obsidian had to walk, because they needed to make people that are fans of the franchise like me make it feel like Pillars of Eternity, but also have to bring in an entire new audience that may have nothing or know nothing about it, right, and may not be interested in it. Let's be real. So that's been a point of contention. And the major issue with this, and I don't want to say it's an issue with the game. I don't know if this is an issue with the game or an issue with us or an issue with anyone, really. Maybe it's just a human thing. But the thing that's been interesting about this game is people expect things from this game that the game never said they were going to give them. In fact, in some cases, they numerous times said that they weren't going to get that. That's not the kind of game it was. But the game comes out, videos get made being like, look at all the stuff that isn't in this game. And then without even looking at what the game does well, people just go, oh, so you're telling me that Oblivion could do this, but Avowed couldn't? Oh, Skyrim could do that, but Avowed can't? Game's garbage, trash. How is it like this 15 years later?
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. I'm not even going to look into if this game is good, because I can't shoot an arrow straight up, and the NPCs don't have day-night cycles. This is a step back. This game's garbage. And the thing that's crazy about that is it's like, they never said this game was a sandbox. They never said that this was going to be the next Skyrim. look at the game this was based on, Outer Worlds. A lot of the stuff in this game is exactly the same. I mean, if you were to make that video about Oblivion and Skyrim versus Witcher 3, it'd say a lot of the same stuff. So it made this weird thing where people that don't even know what the game is, they don't even know what's good about it, are swearing it off because it doesn't have things that they didn't say would be in the game.
Right.
And then
Yeah,
those same people
there's
come into my
no-
channel. Those same people come into my channel and they go, "How are you playing this game? Haven't you seen the Oblivion versus Avowed video?"
I was saying
I'm just
that
like-
yesterday that I do not
And I'm like-
envy your audience because every once in a while I'll be at the top of the directory and that'll kind of float like stream tourist, as it were. That
Yeah.
you know, first time message just be like, "This quest is woke."
But no. Here is the biggest problem with this.
And I'm like,
And
"What?"
funny enough, dude, I was
they're-
going
they're
back and
about
forth.
the same stuff you just did.
I was going back and forth with Gene Park about this on Twitter, where it's like, okay, let's the problem with that conversation, the problem is when you do a comparison, and this goes, funny enough, back to that cry wolf thing we were talking about earlier. Like, when's the right time to complain? If you watch that video, and I've watched both of them, of Oblivion and Skyrim versus game, they absolutely ping a whole bunch of things
Oh, that
an
was-
immersive sandbox game
I'll have to watch
has
that.
versus a narrative ARPG. Tons of things. Day-night cycles, objects not being simulated, NPCs having full AI, tons of stuff. And the problem is if you look at that objectively, those videos are ridiculous. They're ridiculous and they mean nothing. Because our game, like Avowed, is not trying to do a lot of those things. Avowed is not, every NPC doesn't have a house in Avowed. So how could they have a day-night cycle? Like all of this, they don't have itineraries. There's no AI in them. They're placeholders. But the problem is that by looking at those videos and going, look how ridiculous it is that this stuff isn't in it, the game's garbage, no real person that's looking at both sides can take those videos seriously. And that means that we can't have the very real discussion of what Avowed is doing isn't enough and should be better.
Sure.
So, like, the thing that I was pointing out is, it's like, no, did we expect the NPCs in Avowed to all have a house, to all have AIs, to be fully simulated with an itinerary where they walk around and do things all day? Like, did we expect that from Avowed? No, we didn't expect that. But we did expect NPCs in cities to be more than just a static thing standing there. We did expect more immersive mechanics than we got. Like, those are real discussions that I feel we can have. Like, there are things in Avowed that absolutely could be done better and absolutely need some work and absolutely, especially for a $70 price tag, should be fixed, updated, or changed. But we can't really have that conversation when people are swearing the game off through hugely popular YouTube videos, saying that there's features that the devs didn't even say were going to be in the game aren't in it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it obfuscates all of this stuff. And it's loud, it's vacuous, it's completely meaningless. And worst of all, you now have people swearing off the game that don't even know what the game does well.
Right.
They have no idea why people like the game. They don't understand. They look at me and they go, how could you possibly like this game? How could you like it? Haven't you seen the Obsidian and Skyrim videos? And I go, I like the game because I'm a PoE fan and I love the narrative. It's gorgeous. I'm loving the exploration. The combat is super fun. The itemization is pretty cool, and I can change my build all the time. The skill system's kind of engaging. Like, there's tons of reasons to like the game. There's a lot of good reasons not to. But there's a lot of reasons to as well.
Right.
So it mutes and muddles the conversation on if the game is actually good or not, because a lot of people swearing it off don't even know. They don't even care to know. They don't even care to check. Oh, it doesn't do this stuff, so I don't even care about the game anymore.
Yeah.
Which is honestly, like, that sucks for them more than anyone else. Because they might like it. Who knows?
Right.
But it ruins and it destroys, like, all of the, like, we can't talk about if the story and the narrative and, like, how that is and how good it is and stuff like that. It's hard to when everyone else is just screaming about it, not being able to shoot arrows in the air and land in front of you.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I think at the end of the day, it's a bigger, like, Avowed, and the conversation around Avowed is like a microcosm of a bigger issue within the gaming space. That's just
Yes.
right now, video game conversation and the zeitgeist of anything is like what this does wrong. It's all negative. It's all anger. It's all like, oh, fucking fuck this shit. I'm pissed. I'm angry. and it's every game
It's-
that comes out. Every game
Well, it's
that comes
jumping
out.
to conclusions. Like
Yes.
instead
The
of
pitfalls.
additively looking at what is good in a game and does it add up to a good experience, they go, what's not in the game, and should it make me angry?
Yes, yeah.
And if that answer is yes, then I'm going to get angry. And I'm not even going to look at the other stuff. I'm just going to get angry and say that the game sucks. I'm not going to even blink or care to look at if there's anything good in it.
Right.
I'm just going to watch a few YouTube videos and get mad. And
right.
it's like,
and,
that
and
sucks.
that's the issue
unfortunate.
right there is the
That's
YouTube, what you just said, I'm going to watch YouTube videos. The algorithm feeds that, right? So like,
Yeah, oh, completely.
it's the algorithm working against conversation and people knowing that and using it for their own good to like make hate rage videos because those are going to get views. Whereas if you make a video that's like, man, Avowed's great, you're going to get the spin-off commenters or bots from those videos that just pass by and be like, nope, this game has all women leaders, woke. Like, you're just, what are we doing? What is going on?
It's unfortunate, man. Like yeah.
This whole conversation is a reminder. I don't know who said it. I don't know who the quote is attributed to, but it's so present and it's just growing more and more and more and more every day that comparison is the thief of joy.
Right.
So you compare this game to any other game. It's like, of course, there are two different games. It's going to be different. There's going to be things you like from this, things you like from that. But like, man, you are ruining your chance to have a good time in this game if you're constantly comparing it to other shit.
Yes.
I had
It's
a
like,
person
this game
last
has
night.
stuff that it does great, and like that it does better than the games you're comparing it to. Just stop. Just like try to view it objectively. You know, like try to just fucking stop comparing shit.
Yeah.
Let's be very real here as well. I am not by any means saying this is the great game that everyone needs to play. Like, not at all. Like, that is not the conversation. We're not trying to sell you that Avowed is actually a great game and you were wrong. It's just to approach the conversation in the way that it has been makes it so that you're not even on the same level when you're talking about the game. And that is what needs to fix. Like, there's lots of great reasons to not like this game. Let's talk about those. And maybe the devs will hear, and then it will get better. But instead, it's like, you don't even get to that point. You don't even get to the point where you get to talk about, like, if the game is good or bad these days. It's already decided before you even play it, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, but for instance, for me, like,
social
I've
media in a
had
nutshell.
major issues with the game. And actually, we could talk about it real quick.
Yeah.
Completely empty underwater areas, especially in the first area, like, that drove me crazy. The fact that NPCs just stand around and do nothing, like at least some rudimentary walk around the city stuff or ambient conversation, like just the littlest bit to not make it feel like I'm walking through a museum. Just something.
Yeah.
On top of that, there's the food system is garbage. The ability system, the fact that you don't have enough hotkeys for all of your keys and your companions, that's crazy. The carry weight system is one of the most poorly designed systems I've seen in any game. It's literally a vestige mechanic. It shouldn't be in the game. Carry weight should not be in the game. And the fact that it's attached to a main stat and items as a stat is mind-blowingly bad.
Yeah.
And you know, we could keep doing this. There's all sorts of little things about the game. The class system in general should be 10 times deeper. Instead of fighter, range, and wizard, we should see like 6 to 10 classes from PoE 1 and then have much further, deeper customization there. Companions got completely neutered. I mean, even coming from Outer Worlds, which is their previous game,
That's what I was about to
companions got
ask.
reduced.
Like,
Yep.
comparing
But-
it to Outer Worlds, is everything you just said also the same?
No, there. In most cases, this game improves on Outer World stuff, but companions were a step back. Yeah,
Got it.
companions in general were a pretty big step back.
Okay.
But somebody just said the carry weight isn't bad at all. Just break your stuff down. No, that's the point. The carry weight mechanic has been completely invalidated to the point where all it is a reminder to open your inventory and break shit down.
Or send it
The
to camp. Yeah.
entire point of carry weight. And that is, why do you have that item on stats and stuff then? Just have a timer that goes off every 2 hours. Like what? Like
Yeah.
that's terrible. But yeah, so there's lots of issues with this game. Lots of issues. If anything, I wouldn't quite say it's to the point where I'd call it like a janky game, but it feels like a game that needed more cook time. Interestingly enough, we have 2 important bits of information that can kind of confirm that. And that is the fact that the game got rebooted twice from Jason's article, can probably lead there to be some downtime. And then Josh Sawyer, creative director over at Obsidian, he has been doing charity streams.
Mhm.
And in fact, I was in one last night, and he is super cool about answering questions from chat. And he gave a very telling answer when actually someone from my community asked him, like, why are companions in Avowed like less RPG than they were in Outer Worlds, especially with the RPG foundation of Avowed? And Josh said straight up, it was a time and resource issue. So if they were having time and resource issues on like companion characters, I can only believe what they were having time and resource issues on concerning all this other stuff.
Sure, yeah.
So that brings up the interesting question, like, are they going to keep working on this game? Somebody yesterday asked, like, hey, Code, do you think this game is going to get like a Cyberpunk 2.0 kind of thing one day? And that leads to a bunch of other discussions, like the intention and perspective of some of the decisions they made. But it does lead me to believe that this game definitely is a little undercooked. And at times it does feel like that. At times it doesn't. Like sometimes combat just clicks. You have an awesome sequence of combat for like 10 minutes straight. It feels good. Everything's awesome. You end and your companions have interesting things to say. Like sometimes it feels fantastic, but other times, like the emptiness of the ocean and things like that are just kind of like, this doesn't really feel like Obsidian. Like this feels like you need another pass here. But yeah, hopefully we'll see that. But the game definitely has issues. It just has some really good stuff too.
Yeah. I think it comes down to like what you want from it at the end of the day, and what you want to. One, what you want from it, and two, what it does well. If it aligns with those things, then yeah, you're really going to enjoy it. But if it doesn't, you're going to have some issues with it.
Yeah, I got to say
that's
though,
all games, I guess, in the grand scheme of things.
Especially with the writing and everything, I definitely it's hard for me to recommend. Like I do, and I will, but the experience of playing this game is, for me, like so much richer having the Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2 foundation. The amount of like reward they give you for kind of like knowing the names and knowing the locations and knowing the lore, and it is this game in many ways is kind of a love letter to Pillars of Eternity fans. It makes the experience palpably better if you play through those two games first.
Yeah, I will say so I played through Pillars 2. I didn't play Pillars 1, but in a lot of ways, Marius, who's a companion that you get pretty early on, I feel like his entire existence is to remind you, like, hey, here's a world thing. Here's something about the Obsidian. Here's the aura. Here's some more Eora fact drops, you flarfanoggin. By the way, a flarfanoggin is a reference to a god. And that god is another flarfanugin. And that flarfanugin, I can't stand Marius. I think he's annoying as shit. But
you know what the best? You know what the funny
probably
part is?
you might like him because you're a PoE fan.
Opposite. I love him because every time he opens his little dwarf mouth, he says something PoE, and I'm like, oh, I know what that is. I know what you're talking about. That's awesome.
Every line is a massive drop in the PoE
Marius,
world.
my boy Marius.
Yeah.
Keeping it real.
I like the other. I think Kai is a great companion. That's Garrus.
Whoever decided to get Garrus in this project, man, I tell you.
We asked Carrie about that. She said that it was
give him a raise.
It was just a tryout process, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of fit what we want to do."
He not only, it's so great hearing, but he fits that character so well, like with little snarky replies everywhere and everything. It's great. It's great. And they got him wearing blue again. Somebody in my chat was like, is this character ever going to escape blue? Like, is this voice actor just always going to be blue no matter where he is?
Yeah. And apparently Carrie primarily wrote Kai as a character.
Carrie did?
Yeah, that's Carrie's
cool.
writing. Yeah,
that's very cool.
That's cool.
I swear to God, if he does not say the word calibration before the end of the game, though, I'm going to burn the building down.
I don't think he's said it yet.
If they can get the God of War to say indeed, I'm just saying it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I have faith in Carrie.
I'm curious your thoughts on like the writing. Have you noticed all the like memes that are subtly entered into the game? That's very Obsidian, right?
It is. It's at times a little tonally immersion breaking. At times, yeah. Okay. What I've been telling my chat is if I had tonal issues with Dragon Age of Veilguard at a solid 8 or 9 out of 10, in this game it's like a 1 to 2. Like it's not devoid. It's not like there are things about this world that are far more modern and less immersive than I would like. A lot of the language selection, some of the terms they use, stuff like that. Like, but you know, at the same day, I'm kind of a purist in that regard, where I like my fantasy games to be rooted in whatever world they are. I don't need, like, a lot of people feel the opposite. They're like, no, it's fine to put modern day connections in my fantasy and historical games. It keeps it relevant. I'm like, no, I don't want to hear a single one of those words. I'd be in the real world if I wanted to hear that. Don't do that at all. Then again, I was playing frickin' KCD2 today, and a guy goes, as if, and I was like, am I watching Clueless in the 90s? Like, what is this?
That was Paul Rudd. They got Paul Rudd.
My God, man.
Alicia Silverstone, sorry.
Dude, I'm going to wake up in my inn the next day, and there's going to be a peasant holding a boombox under my window. Like, I don't even know what to do with that. But it's been overall okay. And I have enjoyed, as a Pillars of Eternity fan, I've really enjoyed the dialogue. I love Giada. Like, she like, all the voice acting has been really solid. So it's awesome to hear them like delivering solid PoE lore, like in a way that makes sense. Also, for me, the main story has been wildly engaging because, again, coming from Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, like, I understand the whole Pantheon. I know how the wheel works. I was there when things happened to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, it adds like all these really interesting nuanced questions to the whole thing that's going on. And every time you get fed a bit of lore, you're like, oh, is this related to this, or this? Or maybe it's related to this event in 1, or maybe this event in 2. Like, how's that going to function in the greater Pantheon? So it's made it very enjoyable, for sure. Like I said, it really is a love letter to PoE fans. If you know all this stuff, the story gets layers that you just don't see unless you play the games.
Yeah. Zeke, I think one thing for you that I know you will like is and we asked Carrie about this last week, it does a lot of yes and in the game and actually lets you choose story beats that haven't, at least yet, fully paid off, but they're the type of things where it's like, hey, how do you know this person? Or, hey, how are you related to this person? And you have full reign to just choose, like, oh, this person was an ex-lover. Oh, I hated that person. That person was a fling. Oh, I've never met that person type deal. And like that type of stuff was actually pretty cool being thrown into what is rather a heavily built world already. Being able to like make
so it's
those
not
decisions.
just like four different ways of saying yes. Then.
No. In fact, you can bring up entire topics that aren't talked about in the conversation. Like we actually did some testing with the dialogue, and a lot of times the 4 options are different paths you can explore conversationally. They aren't going to cause a city to live or die, but it's a kind of thing where you will get different amounts of information and different types of information based on the replies you get. So for a lore nerd like me, I freaking love that because like I can actually get the information I want out of a conversation. Sometimes it is different ways of confirming
that does
something.
exist,
That happens, absolutely. But there's also a lot of times when you can just completely change the course of the conversation with your options, which has been really fun. And also gotten to some really good lore sometimes. Also, some of the things they say are like actually ridiculous. Some of the things you can say are just like memey and weird. And
so I'm actually, fun. You guys said you were both
like being in a D&D group then.
Yes, it very much is. Yeah, very much is. You guys are both nobles, right?
Yes.
So I picked Court Augur, and the choices that gives me in dialogue are pretty awesome. Because I can
Noble is very aloof and very like I am way better than you. Like
really?
Lots of way better than you options. Yeah, it's some of them really click though. Like if you know a lot about society and a character's ask you about that, you can like give some good insight. But no, very pomp and circumstance responses for Noble.
Yeah.
Very smug.
Okay.
Yeah.
Court Augur is like, I'm going to read your mind and I'm just going to say what I know you're trying to say or what
damn it.
Like
now I want to go back and change it.
It sounds kind of awesome.
It works sometimes, but other times people will just be like, fucking stop doing that. Like, why did you do? You're not making any goddamn sense, but you're making perfect sense.
I like that.
It's really cool.
I didn't realize that was an option.
Yeah, it's cool. It's pretty cool how they. I'm curious about the other ones because there's nobleman, court augur. There's like war
Scout,
leader,
war hero.
War hero. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I don't remember what the last one is. I think there's 5 total. I will say,
nice.
like, I was really very pleasantly
Arcane.
surprised how many
Color.
options you have. Like, I see Noble in 1 out of 5 conversations, if not less than that. Like, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So I can say that, especially considering how many times I take the Noble option, it seems to make a pretty big, like, that's a pretty big RP decision. Like, what kind of person you want to be? Because we're going to give you literally hundreds of options to be that person if you want to. And it's all going to have reactive dialogue and stuff. It's not like you're just going to get the same dialogue with the same. Some of the stuff my Noble says is really asinine. Like, he's really a dick. Like, it's wild. Sometimes, of course, if you're talking to a dick, you got to be a dick. So, you know, it's like, that's just how it works. It's how the world ends. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun.
It is fun indeed. I'm enjoying it. I'm only 75%, I guess, is what I would put myself at through the game, and I think I'm at 50 hours.
You're the third map?
So you can't,
I'm
you
45
can't change
hours
your
in.
background once you start, right? Like the
Correct.
noble, the augurs, stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like I might just start over since I'm only like a couple hours in, just to give you like to report back with like what, because we got augur and a noble.
Yeah.
I might go back and try the scholar.
There's an arcane scholar. Yeah, it might be cool. You might be like a
And
know-it-all.
see what their dialogue choices are.
Yeah, you might just know.
People are saying they're
everything.
very nerdy, which, you know, I'm cool with.
It would fit the archetype you're trying to play with, like a mage. Yeah,
Yeah.
might work. Yeah, cool. That's Avowed. I will probably finish it up.
I'm playing more tonight. I'm loving it.
Chat was wanting to see this, so this is the non-spoilery version. Hold on. Of course. Oh, thanks, Twitch. You just didn't do what you said you were going to do. When
Scholar
I copied
is
this thing.
super lore intensive.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm doing. Oh, and by the way, somebody earlier in chat saw this. Just want to point out, yes, there are absolutely major decisions in this game. In fact,
Oh,
just
yeah.
slight spoiler, and I'm certainly not going to say any more than this. You can lose entire towns. You can lose, like, if you don't do the right things, go to the right places, do that kind of stuff. Like, you can lose entire cities. So yes, there are absolutely things have ramifications depending on what you do.
And when everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I rushed like main story," with how much side quest actually.
Didn't you say you're on the third map with like 50 hours?
Yeah. Well, I didn't rush it. I'm saying they rushed it.
They
rushed main
okay.
story.
Yeah. I was gonna say
With how much they've said that, and then how much side quest actually impact everything else from a story perspective. That seems like it's terrible. Like, it's just you're missing
What's even crazier,
so
dude?
much.
that thing that we did is not even a quest.
Yeah. You can just, yeah.
So it's like, which is interesting. I mean, like that's kind of wild. Yeah, like if you rush the main story and don't do any side exploration or questing, like your game's gonna be affected.
Yeah. Anyways, this is my level 19 character. You can see how much different it is from Ko's gameplay.
Oh, my current character is a dual wielding cyclone. Like I went,
okay.
yeah, my current character, I've switched to dual wielding. It is the highest damage melee, and I have a charge, a taunt that gives me temporary hit points, and then I can pull people to me too. So I'm basically just like charging around and yanking people and doing all sorts of stuff. So it's actually really, really fun. I'm still kind of finding my weapons and everything that I want to use, but dual wielding is very cool. Big timing component to it too, which makes combat a lot more interesting because you have to perfectly time your combos or they will stop. Your dual wielding will stop, and then you don't get full combo bonuses and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah, this is I'm playing Call of Avowed basically.
I'm just out here yanking everyone's pizzle. That's right.
Yeah.
You
It's
got it.
really absurd.
I see the reload speed. It's insane.
Yeah.
And the one I was gonna
I
mention
brought
the one
America
thing that
to Eora, Zeke. All right. I was just bringing a little piece of.
Someone needs to take that clip
There you
and
go.
show it to Henry and be like, you can do 20 times better, dude. Like, look at this man. Look how this man loads an arquebus. You can load a crossbow at least half as fast.
Oh God.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
one thing I had a kind of a problem with when I first got some spells and stuff was like some of the spells like take up a bunch of the screen. Like especially like the first flame spell you get
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, flame spell. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't see shit. What the fuck? And I have to keep aiming at the guy, but there's another guy coming in and I got to keep blowing fire. Jesus Christ, I can't see shit.
You might have you tried third person at all? Because it would fix that issue.
I haven't yet.
I gotta say,
I see that you do a lot of third person.
I feel like third person's tacked on, dude. I can't use it.
Yeah.
Like the floatiness.
It's pretty floaty.
It's got some bugs with melee. Like I hate third person in this game.
Yeah.
I wish I felt differently, but I feel like third person was added late and they didn't fine tune it. So,
yeah.
I know some people dig it. Some people, in fact, in my chat have said they only play in third person, and first person they can't because the game moves too fast. Especially with exploration stuff when you're pulling up on ledges and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, first person for me is the way to go.
That makes sense. So cool.
No, I might try like third person for some combat elements and stuff like that to see. Like, but is it something that you can change on the fly? I haven't looked too deep
Instantly.
into it.
Yes, you just
all
press
you have to do is hit the U key.
Or on the
okay,
right
okay,
stick.
cool.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
the best.
cool.
The best part about it is how fast you can jump in and out of it. Like that was
Just
a great
one button,
decision. Yeah. It's just a quick push.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Swell.
I will say though, it feels like for me, it feels great in first person. It feels cyberpunky. Like I really like that you can tell when you go into environments that they all feel handcrafted with how things are laid out and where things are and stuff like that. So it's a game that caters to first person for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feels good.
No, it feels first person feels right until like my entire screen is like filled up with a fireball. And then I'm like,
makes sense.
I hope there's no one charging at me through this fireball. Oh, there is. Oh, I'm dead.
you'll die pretty quick. Yeah.
Before we move on from
You
Obsidian,
do. Holy shit. By the way, are you guys all playing on the hardest difficulty or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Quick note on that. Hardest difficulty is super hard if you don't keep your gear updated, but it becomes far more manageable when you start updating your gear. Also, whenever you get to a new map or area, the first thing you want to do is try to tier your gear up.
Yep.
Because tiering your gear actually changes the loot table of the world. So whenever you upgrade from like gray to blue to purple and stuff like that, if you have a weapon of that quality in your inventory, everything starts dropping higher. And also when you start finding uniques, they start dropping of that tier, which is really useful too. So definitely do that. Last thing we'll throw out here, by the way, this game is on Game Pass. So if you do want to try it, keep in mind it's a Game Pass game. And second of all, how did you guys feel about the $70 price tag?
Yeah, that's one of those things. I caught myself yesterday saying like, man, every time someone's like, hey, would you play this? I'm like, this game's a great Game Pass game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's my answer.
For me, the thing that I'm wrestling with, and I wasn't asking this because I had some gotcha answer. I was genuinely wondering what you guys are thinking. Obsidian has always been a AA at best company. They've never been a company that's been super bankrolled. They've always delivered like, bangers with issues kind of things, but they've always been kind of AA at best. Microsoft buys them. We know that Microsoft is giving them funds, but we also know that their team didn't explode in size. We know that they didn't get millions and millions more. They got probably what they needed, but I mean, still Avowed released, and even the people working on it are like, we wish we could have done more. We didn't have enough time. So the thing that's confusing me the most about this is I feel like this game would have been so much better received at like a $40 to $50 price point. At what point do we start saying that like a $70 price tag is okay? Because yes, Microsoft is a AAA company, and that part makes sense. But I don't feel like this has the resources and development of a AAA project. So like for me, I'm having problems justifying that $70 price tag when we know it's not a $70. We know that $70 worth of resources did not go into this game.
Right.
So it's kind of like I'm having a dichotomy there.
Part of me feels like if I put on my tinfoil hat, part of me thinks the reason they did $70 is so that you subscribe to Game Pass.
Yes.
That's why.
So the TLDR is just Microsoft marketing is why it's that expensive.
Yeah, I fully think that it's just to drive Game Pass. I mean, with everything they have lined up with this South of Midnight, Claire, what is it? Claire Claire Obscure, whatever, Expedition 33
Oh,
or whatever.
Expedition 33.
Yeah, and then Doom. Like, I think all of that, all those games, I don't know if they're all $70. I could see Doom being $70 just right off the rip, but I don't know about the other two. I think those are just to drive Game Pass.
Yeah.
And in the way that they've
I mean, they're
structured
driving
their-
everyone away from the console, so maybe that's their ace in the hole kind of thing. Just get everyone on Game Pass, and then they don't have to worry about the console anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Because the other thing was, you know, you had 5 days early access, and that was $22 to buy into if you had Game Pass. So they'll make you know, their money
Think about,
there.
like, to say that's free money is an understatement. Like, to think about, like, they're charging $20. Think about how many things in your life are valued at $20. $20 to play a game 5 days early, and the amount of people that actually spent that $20.
Right.
It's just free money. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all just
That's almost a lunch at McDonald's. That's right, Jamie.
you could maybe buy 3 eggs.
Maybe if you're lucky, if you found them on sale, that'd be
You
great.
found them on sale and without the flu. God. Let's not get into that.
That's almost a DoorDash delivery fee, not the food, of course, but
That's
the
right.
paying to get it to you.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah, I think it's all just Game Pass. I think that's just
I think that's right.
their
I
shift.
still think the
Now-
game would have been so much better at like a 40 to 50 price point. I think that I think that's a big point of contention, and it's making those videos like the Oblivion and Skyrim versus Avowed like so much.
It's just ammunition.
It's a lot
for those
easier
people.
for those videos to exist
Yeah.
when the price tag is set at a level that you would expect to get max quality from. You know, like yeah, it's just unfortunate.
If you're a gamer that plays like three to 5 games a month, like I don't know if that's average, but
I would say that
if you're a
seems
gamer that
high.
plays 3 to
but
5
yeah.
games a month, is there a reason? Like I'm totally honest here. Is there a reason not to have Game Pass?
If you want to, well, I was about to say if you want to own the game, but funny enough, if you're buying that, you're probably buying it from Steam and you don't own that game. So, like, I guess it depends.
Hold up. If you have Game Pass and you spent the $20 to play Avowed early, don't games get cycled out of Game Pass eventually?
But not first party. First party are always Game Pass.
So as long as your Game Pass subscription is up, Avowed will always be on it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain that's true. Chat, I'm sure will correct me or not correct me here.
I was gonna say because that'd be kind of messed up if that was not the case. If you could pay $20 to play a game early that in 2
And then
years
they
gets
take it
cycled
away,
out of your
yeah.
library, yeah, that would be a little much.
Be fucked. But
And when I say 3 to 5 games a month, I'm not saying like necessarily finishing 3 to 5 games a month. I'm saying like, is it weird that before I was a streamer that I would play 3 to 5 games a month and not like I would jump from like okay I'll come back to that later and then play a different game. Like
I think that's
3 to 5 games a month seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Like not finishing them, but like okay I played enough Skyrim for today. Next game I'm gonna play for a little bit is GTA or whatever, and then you come back to Skyrim. Like that's what I'm saying.
I think that's how most not like just people that play video games. I think that's how most people approach games.
No, when I said 3 to 5 games a month, I saw a bunch of people in chat going like, "What the fuck? Like that's ridiculous."
Well,
I'm like, "Is it?"
I think that's high.
I mean, especially
Well,
a lot
was.
of people also have like gaming buddy groups they're parts of, and they'll just pick games to play and jump between that kind of stuff, and you know,
yeah. I think that's pretty high.
A lot per month, yeah.
Yeah, because there's this month is, specifically, there's so many like crazy long games that are also good that I would really will never hear the answer for this, but I would love to know if Microsoft would have preferred to flip South of Midnight and Avowed with their launches, because South of Midnight is coming out around. Is that the same day as Assassin's Creed, maybe? Whereas like Avowed was immediately compared with Kingdom Come. And Kingdom Come sales-wise probably ate its lunch. So
Of all the games that Avowed could have come out next to, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is arguably the absolute worst one they could have released next to.
I agree.
And that's because what everyone wanted to see from those like Oblivion and Skyrim versus Avowed videos, you can basically do in Kingdom Come Deliverance. So it's like literally like one of the best immersive sandboxes we've got released next to a game that kind of looked like it. So immediately set expectations, but wasn't an immersive sandbox. So it's like everyone's expectations just boom, 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 right next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
And I'm totally in the camp that like those games shouldn't be compared, but there's also the reality that they're totally going to. Like there's just no reason not to.
Yeah, and it gets even more tough when it's like, although Avowed isn't an immersive sandbox, you still want the experience to be as immersive as possible. So it's like it walks this line where it's like, no, it's a narrative ARPG. It's not a Skyrim. It's not an Oblivion. It's a narrative ARPG. That the point of it is that. But it still could do all this other stuff. Like it could. To be expected of it, no, but it could, and it would be better if it did for a lot of people. So that leads to like that weird, expectations versus reality versus resources.
Yeah.
Or scope. I think scope is also a really big thing. Yeah. So a lot of people didn't really talk about the fact that like Oblivion and Skyrim have all those features because they're baked into the engine. The engine is literally designed for that stuff. Like you don't make NPCs in that engine without giving them a full itinerary. You don't put an object in that world without it being a fully usable object.
Right.
So it's like they would have had to make all that for Avowed. They would have had to design all of that from the ground up, like the entire systems, all of them. And they already didn't get some basic stuff in scope. So I can only imagine we would have been waiting until 2029 for Avowed if that were the case.
Yeah.
I'm sure Microsoft would have loved that.
Yeah. Might have been rebooted a third time. Jeez. Could you imagine? After
That's what I said earlier. Like, it's a good thing that game didn't come out even saying anything with the word Skyrim, because if they had tried to be a multiplayer Skyrim with the level of immersion they have, I would have been complaining about that too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For me, I have both games. I have KCD2 and Avowed, and I was like, man, which one? And then I said one word to myself. I was like, magic.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's a lot of reasons that people just don't play KCD2.
That's
absolutely
me. That's 100% me. Like, I have not touched KCD2 because the lack of magic. But everyone keeps telling me like you really need to play this game, so I might check it out eventually because.
The thing that I can say,
everyone has said to play it.
I am not a person that generally likes historical games. In fact, I didn't really like Red Dead Redemption 2 because it was a Western. Like, I'm normally not into that. But the thing about KCD2 is that it's such an extended level of gamification in an immersive standpoint that it transcends the realistic barrier that I normally set for myself. Like it gamifies reality so well that it also almost unimmerses you from the historical context and immerses you in this game world it's created. It still feels very much like a video game, even though it still feels incredibly realistic because of how much awesome stuff and care they've put into making it an immersive sandbox. Kind of hard to enunciate, but it's so well done.
For me, the biggest like selling point, or not selling point, the thing that's got me the most interested in Kingdom Come is that Gassy Mexican, my neighbor, is still streaming that game as of last night and constantly talking about how good it is. And like he moves from game to game pretty quick just because that's how he handles his stream. It's been like 2 weeks and he's like, this game's so good. I can't stop playing it. To me, that is like shit. It's probably good. Like, that's a big
it's great.
In a coal
you should give it a try, man.
Yeah.
You should give it a try. Yeah. I mean, it's worth a try if nothing else.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I will tell you this right now. There's not a thing. There is not a few things. There is a laundry list of things that KCD2 does better than any other game on the market. Like a laundry list.
Yeah.
And for that alone, it's worth, just as a gamer, just checking it out and seeing how those systems work and everything.
Sounds like it'll be on the radar for the rest of the year.
Yep. Oh, you do need about 200 hours, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I have to like block out a Persona style amount of time. It's kind of wild.